Welcome to the Content 10X Podcast, the show where content creators learn how to harness the power of content repurposing. And now, your host, Amy Woods.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Content 10X Podcast. I'm your host, Amy Woods, and this week is all about a fantastic tool called Answer the Public. Now, you may have heard of it before, or it may be entirely new to you, but it's a wonderful tool for helping you to work out what content to create and also what content to repurpose as well. Now, one of the most common problems people come to me with when they are trying to develop a content repurposing strategy is actually working out what content they should be repurposing, especially if they've got lots of content that they've already created in their archives. When you realize that one piece of content can be repurposed into lots and lots of content, it can be a really exciting opportunity, but also quite stressful and a bit overwhelming to work out how you develop a strategy of what you are going to repurpose. A great tool to help you in making those decisions is Answer the Public. If you're looking for repurposing inspiration, it's a fantastic tool. And if you're looking for ideas of what content to create in the first place to then go on and repurpose, it's also a wonderful tool. AnswerThePublic.com. Now, let me explain what Answer the Public is. Now, it's a visual keyword research and content ideas tool. It gathers all the related and auto-suggested results from Bing and Google for a search phrase. And so you will type your search phrase in, say content marketing, and it'll come up with auto-completed search terms that have been used for those words, giving you an indication of the popular questions that people ask using those words. So, for example, it will help you to get behind what people are thinking. You'll get a hint of the motivations and the emotions of people when they use your search queries. And it displays the results in this wonderful looking, what they call a search cloud. It's really visually appealing. So you can just see in this big cloud, this big bubble, all of the different types of queries that are being used on Google and Bing, the two main search engines, for the keywords that you are creating content for or that you have created content about. Now, the three really clear, really beautiful visualizations that Answer the Public provides for you are around the question. So what would people ask, the how, the what, and the why related to the search term that you're interested in. They'll also look at the preposition as well. So with, for, is, etc. and the comparison versus, or, and. So you enter one of your keywords and you can find out the kind of questions that people ask from those three different angles. So for example, if I type content repurposing in, I'll get an idea of the key questions that people ask with that phrase. Content repurposing, how, what, why do people repurpose which, where can people repurpose, so all those kinds of questions. Then it moves on to the prepositions. So then it will be things like content repurposing can, content repurposing with, content repurposing for, etc. And then you'll also get the comparisons, content repurposing versus, content repurposing and, content repurposing like. So it provides all of this useful information in these search clouds. So it's a visual representation. You can download the data as well, which is super, super handy. And it also shares all of the related searches to that keyword as well. So not exactly that keyword, but related, so very close to it. So as I'm looking at content repurposing, I'm now looking at sharing me things like repurposing content for marketing, content repurposing ideas. So just all of these related searches as well. It's super, super clever, and it really helps you to understand what people are searching on search engines related to the topics that you are covering in your content. So head on over there and have a look yourself at answerthepublic.com. So how can you use Answer the Public to inform your content repurposing? Now, it's really hard work repurposing. It takes time, it takes effort, creation, publishing. If you're putting all that work in, then you want to know it's worthwhile. I've spoken before about working out what content you can repurpose by looking at your analytics. So if you go and check out Content 10x episode 50, content10x.com/50, I did a whole episode which was on how to use analytics to decide what content to repurpose. In that episode, I looked at things like looking at your Google analytics for your website, social media analytics, email analytics, and so on. But this is something a little bit different that can help you inform your decisions on what to repurpose. So you want to repurpose content that people are interested in and currently asking about. And Answer the Public helps you make those smart choices so that you get that return on your time investment of repurposing your content. And of course, it helps you to decide what content to create in the first place. But before you even think about writing new content, use Answer the Public to see if you can repurpose content that you've already created to answer your audience's questions. So look at the content that you've already created and draw up the keywords related to that content, and then head to Answer the Public and do some research into those keywords to see if you have created content that is really, really popular and people are asking questions about online. No more guesswork, no more shots in the dark. You're going to get some fantastic insight from Answer the Public. And it may be the case that it didn't get met with raving fans the first time you published the content, but there's even more reason to then look at repurposing it if you can see that now that is a very hot topic and you have already answered that question within your content. Maybe you need to change the name of that podcast episode or the name of that video or blog post to make it more closely related to the words and the questions that people actually search on in the search engines. You could turn old blog posts into podcast episodes, podcasts into new videos, break up content into social media content, create infographics, and all saving the knowledge that you're providing answers to the questions that your audience is definitely asking. Okay, so really the key point here is, of course, Answer the Public is fantastic for deciding what new content to create. Go in there, have a look and see what questions people are asking. But it's also fantastic for deciding what content to repurpose, because look at what the most popular topics are, the most popular questions that people are asking. Look at why you've created content already answering those questions, and then how can you go all in and repurpose that content into more locations, into more formats and into different social media platforms, so you can become known as the person who is able and qualified and become the authority on the answer to that question. Now, Answer the Public is a free tool to a certain extent, but then there is a pro membership. When you use the free version of Answer the Public, there is a limit to how many searches you can complete and certain limits to the data that you get. When you have the Pro plan, there's unlimited searches, there's different ways that you can compare data, and so much more. You can add team members and you can use different language and location-based results and things like that. So there's a Pro version, but the free version is fantastic, and I highly recommend giving it a go. And just a few other reminders of how you can work out what content will be great to repurpose. So in episode 122 of the Content 10x podcast, I talked about Reddit and how you can find your communities, people who are really aligned with what you are talking about in your content, your industry, your niche, your niche, and find those subreddits, those communities, and look at what they talk about and see if you created content that answers the questions going on in those kind of discussions. And of course, in discussions and groups on social media like Facebook groups, look at what people are asking questions on and know that if you create content that answers that question, then it may be the time to bring that to life again and repurpose. Pinterest is also a great place. So it's far more a search engine than it is a social media platform. And you can get great inspiration by searching for your keywords on Pinterest as well. Ask your listeners, your viewers, your readers directly too. If you've got an engaged audience, then what better than to ask your audience what they would like to hear more of. And then if you've already created content on that, then bring that back to life and repurpose it. Look at your analytics. I already mentioned this in episode 50 of the Content 10x podcast. I did a whole episode on how you can use your analytics. We looked at website data, social media data, email data, and so much more. So do go check that out, content10x.com/50. And also, there's lots more ideas on this in my book, Content 10x. So if you don't have a copy yet, then do go grab a copy, content10x.com/book, or you can find it on Amazon and Audible as well. Okay, so I hope you found this podcast episode useful and you are going to head over and give Answer the Public a try. Do let me know on social media. I'm at Content10x on all of the social media platforms, most active on Instagram. Now, if you're interested in our fully done-for-you content repurposing service, then don't hesitate to head over to content10x.com to find out more about that. And all that's left to say is thank you so much for listening to this week's podcast episode, and I'll catch you in the next one.